Hi guys, this is Dr. Suguna. In this video, I will explain how to create class and objects in Python. So how to define a class? You have to write class. Class is a keyword and give a name for this class. Put a colon. Then followed by you can write some statements and you can write the data. This data is called as the members or attributes and you can write the methods or the functions. So for example, this is class. This is a keyword. CLS is the class name and you have to put a colon. Then you have written one statement like print welcome. Okay. And this is simply, it is a class containing only some statement. Now, how to add methods in a class? See, this method is nothing but the function. All the functions which is placed inside a class, we call it as a method. Method always have one self parameter which represents the object of the class. Object is nothing but the instance of the class. We have to use this object to access and execute the method. Now, how do you create an object? You have to give the class name, put some open bracket and close bracket and assign it to the object name. Through this object name, we can access the class member as well as the method name. Now, see this example. You have a class and CLS is the class name and you have defined one function. So, you know how to define a function. So, we use the keyword diff and give the function name. Here, by default, as I told you, all the methods inside the class will have a self parameter. And I am just writing a statement print welcome. Now, this is how we define a class. In order to use this class functionality, we need to define an object. Object is nothing but the instance of the class. How do you create an instance? You write the class name and put a open bracket, close bracket, and you assign it to one variable. So this variable you can give any name. Here we have given as obj, and through this object only we can access the method. So obj dot fun. So this will print the output as welcome. So let us see how to add arguments for the method in a class. Look at this example. Here we have defined the class as company. This is company is the class name within which we have defined one function M. See, the first parameter is by default name and it has two other parameters, name and the salary. And these parameters will be passed when you access this method. And here just simply printing employee name is name and employee salary is salary. Now I want to create an object for this. So I am creating an object and I am calling this function. So how do I access this method? Using this object. So this object is X. So I will be writing X dot M. And here you need to pass two parameters. So the first parameter is Sundar I am passing and the second parameter is this value I am passing to the salary. So my output will be, you will get employee name as this one and employee salary is this one. Now, in the same example, when we supply these values, what will happen if I don't supply any one of the argument? So that we call it as a default argument where I can make one of my argument is equal to none, which means that if I supply, when I call this method, if I supply this argument, it will take that argument. Otherwise, it won't consider this variable, that is this parameter. So X is equal to company. And now you see I am passing only one value, that is one argument, that is name. So if it is not passed, the second argument is not passed, means it will just print as none. That's the idea of default argument. So you will get this value. Now you have an attribute called double underscore doc double underscore attribute in the class. So the main function of this class is, see, whenever you define one class, you can write a comment. This is a comment. Okay. So this comment can be written. All the comments can be enclosed in triple double quotes. Okay. So 3 times you have to put the double quote in the beginning and you can put 3 times at the end. This means that it is a comment. So usually a good programmer will explain what that class is about. Okay, in this comment statement, this comment is called as a doc attribute. If you want to see what is this doc attribute in your output, then we can use like the object variable dot double underscore doc double underscore like that. Okay, see now in this example we have defined one member variable I and with some value, and we have defined one function f. Okay, now I am creating an object for the class and I am just accessing this member variable. I am accessing this function and I am accessing this comment. Okay, so how can I access this comment means we have to use double underscore doc. So remember that this doc is nothing but explaining the what the class is about. Okay, so you will get the output like this. Since I have used the separator as backslash n, each output will be separated by one new line character. Now we'll see what are the types of variables in a class. We have two types, which is class variable and the object variable. Class variable means whatever variable declared inside the class, and it can be shared by all the objects of that class. That is what we call as a class variable. And object variable means if a class has n objects, then there will be n separate copies of the object variable. So it is not shared between the objects, whereas the variables, class variables are shared by all the objects, whereas object variables are not shared among them. If any changes made in the class variable, it will reflect in all other objects. Changes made to one object variable will not be reflected to other objects because objects variables are independent. Class variable must be prefixed by the class name and the dot operator. And here the object variable, how do you create an instance variable means you will give a class name and you can pass the as the parameter. So we will look at into two important methods, that is init, which is called as a constructor method, and another one is destructor method. So what is this init method? Init method is represented as double underscore init double underscore, and you have to represent in a parenthesis. See, any method or a function will be represented using this open parenthesis and the close parenthesis, and it is a special method which acts as a constructor of a class. Now what it means is constructor method will be automatically called when the object is created, and the self parameter is used to access the object variable of the constructor. Now we'll see an example. So here in this class, the class name is my class. I have defined one constructor method. Okay, so where I have the first parameter is self, another parameter is object variable, which means that when I create an object for this class, I will be passing this variable. Okay, and this variable could be stored in self.object variable, which means this particular class can access this value. So my class of 10 means for object variable 10 will be substituted. So this is how we'll create a constructor method. So remember, constructor method we need not call from the object. It will be automatically called when an object is created. Similarly, destructor method. Destructor method is represented as double underscore del double underscore, this open bracket and close bracket, and these are called when the object gets destroyed. So this method is known as the destructor method, that is del. And when all the references of the object have been deleted, then it will be called. That is when the object is garbage collected. That means all the operations are over, means when you exit the program, this method will be called. So you can also define something in the del method which will be executed once the all the scope of the program is removed. So we'll see an example. Here I have created a class, my class, where I have included a constructor. This constructor is having only self parameter, which means that I need not pass any parameter, and it is telling print constructor call. And then this is normal method where I am printing hello world, and I have given del method like destructor is called. Okay, so now I will be creating an instance for the class. So how do I create? Write the class name, put a open bracket, parenthesis and close parenthesis and assign it to a variable. And this variable is called as an object variable. Through this variable, so what will happen is when I create an instance, automatically this function will be called. This method will be called and you will get an output as constructor called. Then I'm calling this method some method, so it will print hello world. So when the object is destroyed and goes out of the scope, then this del method will be called. Now let us see a class example where I have I've created a class called bank account and I have a constructor. Okay, in this constructor, as you can see, the first parameter is by default self and you have an account number and an initial balance. That means when I create an object for this class, I will be supplying two parameters. One is the account number, another one is the initial balance. And whatever I supply is stored in this class variable, that is self.account number and self.balance. Okay, so you can give any variable you want. Okay, so this is the parameter passed and this is the variable which is an instance variable. That is your class variable. Now here I am just using some methods like deposit, withdraw and get balance. So what I do in the deposit is when I call this method, I will be passing an amount to deposit. Okay, and this amount will be added to my balance. So I am writing self dot balance plus equal to amount. Plus equal to means self dot balance is equal to self dot balance plus amount. And I will be displaying like deposited amount and what is my new balance. And withdraw is nothing but I'm passing some amount to withdraw, and when I'll be checking with my balance, and if my self balance is greater than or equal to amount, then I will reduce my balance and I will be printing like this. Otherwise, if my balance is not sufficient, I will be printing insufficient balance. And I have another method to simply get the balance. So it will return what is my self dot balance. Now, how to use this class? I have to create an object for this. So this is how I will create an instance of the bank account. As I told you, I need to supply the account number and the initial balance. So some account number and initial balance is given. And this account is my object variable. Now through this object variable only, I will be accessing other methods. So I will be accessing account dot deposit where I am putting the amount as 500. And similarly, I can access account dot withdraw and I will supply some value. And to get the balance, I will be calling this function account dot get balance. So it will return some value. I'll store it in balance and I will print that. So that is about the classes and objects. Thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel to watch more videos. Thank you.